everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. We've had a longer break than was really planned, but we are back. And we're going to start off by just a few announcements. The first of which is this lovely channel that we're on, Girls Run These Worlds, is incredible. And they're pumping out amazing shows on the daily. Tomorrow is Still the Kids on Bikes. So make sure you're back here tomorrow for that. That is some awesome stuff happening on the channel. And after that, I think we're just going to run through everybody and get our names and where you can find us. So I'll start with myself. My name is Foos or Fuzka. You can find me here on Twitch at Fuzka, as well as on Twitter, where I mostly repost and comment about Girls Run These Worlds and the amazing people that you find there. But my pronouns are she, her. I am the DM here. And I'm going to pass it off to Nenners, because looking at the layout, you're right next to me. So, hi, Nenners. He's my brother.
Hi, Foos. She's my sister. Anyway, I'm Nenners. You can find me at the Fuzka Twitch link. I'm not sure where it is, but it's here somewhere. I'm he, him. I play a goblin who hopefully won't die today. So, we'll find out. I'm going to pass it over to Anita. Because I don't know where you are. Oh, you're actually next to me. Look at that.
Yeah, you nailed
it. I am Anita, and I am not related to anyone on the stream. I am sorry. But my pronouns are she, her. I will be playing Kami, whose pronouns are she, her. And you can find me on social medias. Mostly I'm on Twitter. Where I post about other places that you can find me playing games on the internet, at Anita the Lesbian. And I'm also on TikTok, where I make audios with art that these people have made, to make a very select group of people that watch this stream laugh. So you are the target audience. Please go through if you want to giggle, I guess, at Anita the Lesbian on TikTok. But that's me. It's a Monday. I'm gonna pass it to the one, the only, the Lynn. Lynn, take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Lynn, Gremlin Art, pretty much everywhere, Twitch, you can find my art there and just whatever I'm doing. Tonight I am playing Lanitana, they, them, and my pronouns are she, they. Alright.
Hey, I think it's just me left. Hey, it's Kristen. She, her. She, they. Wow, see, so that's the thing about coming out as non-binary, folks. Sometimes you have to learn your own pronouns, okay? So she, they. Anyway, playing Zosha, the super squishy wizard who's coming unhinged. Find me on Twitter at Kristen_house, but actually it's private right now, so you have to request to follow me because I'm in the middle of job interviews. So private Twitter. Anyway, that's ill. Thanks.
All right, and sadly we are without our lovely player Mocha, but she will be back with us next week. And in the meantime, we're just gonna do our best to carry on without her, but she's amazing, and we look forward to seeing her again. So with that, we're just gonna kind of get into our recap of what had happened last. It's been a little bit, so some of us might be breaking off a little bit of the rest. So bear with us as we get back into this situation. But our team of characters, these wonderful beautiful players behind them, but these characters have been called to this forest that seems to have been corrupt in some way, and the more that they explore, the more they're realizing there is a entity here named Kausvena, who is very much obsessed with the hunt and follows the god Malar, and seems intent on hunting anything in her path, which includes the team, but she is intent on fighting them when they are at full strength. So being called here and trying to find out exactly how they can fix the plague that has seemingly hit this forest and corrupt it into strange ways to the point where the natural wildlife is just no longer here. And there's a strange amount of fungus in the area as well. But moving their way through, they started hearing a call for help. And after traversing what seemed to be river rapids that were redirected, the team successfully was able to make their way across. And soon after found a man, a cleric of some kind, in the middle of a tussle with some goblins and an ogre that they managed to persuade with a few good berries and a wonderful, charming smile from Kami to leave them alone at the time. But it seems as though they caught up with somebody else. And engaging in combat immediately, two goblins were burnt to a crisp immediately with a well-placed moonbeam and a fireball. These emaciated goblins did not stand a chance. So two of them are already up in flames. We are catching the group in the rest of this combat. We only managed to do one round of combat last time, but we're picking up here. Just as a reminder, because Mocha is not here, Kristen will be playing for her. So also, Kristen, you will be first in combat because of that. Because I rolled an incredible initiative for her.
Excellent.
But
I remembered that. Yep.
But we're picking up with that again. I think the only concentration spell that's out at the moment is the Moonbeam, just to kind of like keep you guys up to speed. Also, any goblins with or any enemies with a red dot on them, it means that they are at half or less hit points. So anytime you see an enemy with that little red dot, that's what that means. And other things, just kind of keep in mind, the ogre, for like the last round of the fight, walloped the cleric, the man who's been trying to call for help. So he's not looking great, but he's still standing. And with that, I will pass it off to Kristen, who has to play someone else's character.
Fantastic.
And the first round of initiative. So thank you so much for volunteering.
Yes,
to
absolutely. Zero issues. Everything's fine.
Everything's good.
So we're gonna go ahead and do acid splash.
Yeah.
At the ogre.
All right.
So that's a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, if you click the spell, the name, not the little bubble, it should roll the damage for you. Keyword should. Okay, great. So dexterity. Dexterity saving throw on an ogre. They are well known for their dexterity. Let me tell you. Here we go. Oh my god! I'm so sorry. I rolled a natural 17.
Oh my
man.
goodness.
Yep. I believe that is a save or suck spell. So unfortunately, that ogre does not take any damage. With surprising grace, the ogre manages to dodge the acid splash from a distance.
Who would have thought? Not I.
Not me.
Yeah, so that's just gonna be it, and I'm gonna imagine that Chrysanthemum is just muttering about how we could be spending our time better right now, and something. So yeah,
nailed it. All right, so that's the end of Chrysanthemum's turn, which brings us to the goblins. They all rolled pretty well. They just watched two of their friends just get like cooked to death. So for these guys, I'm actually going to have them roll some wisdom saving throws and see if what choices they will make from there, because they are not the brave guy.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So this also is for two, because there are two of this particular kind. So the one that's up a little bit higher on the hill, you see that his head is completely turned in the other direction, where the smoldering, melting bodies are. And at the top of his turn, he just turns around and books it into the forest. So he is going to disappear into the tree line right around here. I don't believe anyone will have line of sight from there, especially because of the height, so he is going to be off the map. So I'm just going to go hide him. And the other one is being stupidly brave. And right next to the cleric, who looks a little banged up, but he saw this other goblin approach, which they had a conversation a little while ago, and he doesn't really like that he's back, so he's going to step closer to you and try and stab you with his spear. Oh, his javelin. Excuse me. It's a javelin. I imagine 11 doesn't hit.
11 does not hit the mighty Plek.
But the much smaller, skinnier goblin comes out and just reaches out and lunges, but no effects. Does not make any kind of contact at all. You see his kind of panicked eyes looking between like you and the cleric beside him. But with the large body of water behind him, it doesn't look like he has a really good escape route right now. But he is going to use his bonus action to disengage. He's going to try and shimmy around to the other side of the ogre. So he's going to move over to there. But that's the end of those two, which brings us to the other goblins. Let's see. I think there's only that guy left for these dudes. Yes, correct. Okay. So the other one, he is hurt bad. His smoldering friends are still behind him, but you see him knock an arrow into his short bow, and he takes aim at the cleric who is not looking in his direction. So he's going to try and shoot him. He doesn't have advantage. 21 will hit. So he takes 5 points of piercing damage, and after getting walloped by the ogre, you can see the guy just sort of wavering in his spot. And as he does so, an arrow just hits him like center mast in the middle of his back, and he just kind of straightens up for a minute. He kind of looks to be dazed at the moment. And this goblin is going to run a little bit. I don't know if he can bonus action hide. Yes, he can as a bonus action because nimble escape. Yay, goblins. He's going to run and try and stealth, which I will whisper to myself so you guys don't know what he rolled. Let me roll this, and then I believe that will be the end of his turn. Okay. Plek, what's your passive perception?
Not great.
Okay.
9.
How do you say it? Not great? No, okay, yeah. No, he disappears. But yeah, he's off. Okay, so that's the end of the goblin turn.
The making of Plek.
I understand. That brings us to Lanitana.
All right, as an action, I will move the Death Moonbeam to over here. Oh, what? Oh, no.
Oh,
no,
yep.
No, move. No, move over the character sheet. There we go. Like
got it.
Right where the character sheet's corner was. Like All right, and then I will move. I'll fly over here and then float down next to this cleric, and nothing creepy. Totally creepy. Just a voice in just telepathically. We'll just say, "We're here to help you. Do not be alarmed by our presence. We'll keep you safe."
As you were oh, sorry, were you going to continue?
It's like, also that goblin with the sword is on our side.
Just a little more information.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. As you're approaching, you can see he locks eyes with you because you're a floating creature who is coming his way, but is not opening your mouth, and then suddenly he hears a voice.
Yeah,
So,
I will make this I will healing word as well. I'll heal.
Okay. As you're raising your hand, you can see him raise his own hand. And a part of you is kind of expecting a spell, as you've seen him sort of cast certain abilities before, but he does raise his hand this time, and as you're about to healing word, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Was that? Okay, it's fine. You see him kind of like turning. And even, you heard his voice from a distance, and even up close, it's very raspy. Something about it is just kind of hard to understand sometimes, and because he's kind of huffing and stunned, he attempts to stop you from your healing word. You are welcome to use it anyway, but he is telling you not to.
You know what? Don't want to make bad first impressions. If things go really bad, I can take care. We can take care of it.
Okay, so you'll save your heal.
I was half expecting him to like counterspell. Like, I'm just waving my hand, like.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I need your roll for your moonbeam.
Oh, it's actually it's on their turn. It's on. I read.
Oh, it's not when they.
Yeah, it's when they.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm gonna
start their turn.
just land and just kind of like, partially, hopefully take some of the attention from the ogre from him.
Okay. Are
It's
you
up to the
saying
ogre.
anything about that, or is it more just like your positioning is trying to get
Positioning, and I think she's also, or they are also kind of like banging the staff on the shield to kind of like make a little bit of a racket.
Okay, cool. You can give me a persuasion check just to see
Okay.
how good that works out.
Yep. All right. Let's see.
Just floats into position.
There's nothing. 20.
Oh shit! Yeah, I mean, there are no words that are said out loud, but Lanitana's saying a lot right now. The ogre seems to kind of turn his direction, his attention in your direction.
Yep.
Is what I was trying to say.
Mhm.
But that's the end of your turn, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Anita.
Flew down and said, "Be not afraid." From
Yup.
on.
I love it. It's amazing. Yes, but you moved on over, so that brings us to his turn. So seeing you there, you see him kind of make eye contact at you before you sort of bang at your shield. And while you're there, you hear, she called you here, right? You, everyone else?
Oh yes, but we can talk about that once this is done.
Right, no problem. And you see him put a hand on his chest as it starts to glow a little bit.
There's like a weird like social mask for like Lanitana, just because like they speak in their head. There's no verbal. Also, her eyes are completely black, so you can't necessarily tell if if they're looking at you.
Just very unnerving. That's awesome. But you see him set a hand on his chest, and it starts to glow just a little bit.
Mhm.
Something about it, like the way it kind of comes out and flares out from his hands, it almost looks more like a fire than a sort of radiant energy. But you see he does seem to stand up a little bit straighter, as he seems to have healed or recovered in some kind of way. And then after that, he's looking up at him and, well, that looks good. Let's try and make it better. You see him start to kind of weave his hands around it as he does. Again, there's a sort of like faint, smoky, fiery, like spectral effect that trails after his hands. And he extends it afterwards, and it seems to kind of wrap around both the goblin and the ogre in front of him as he tries to cast Bane. We'll see if it lands. Charisma saving throws. Goblins and ogres are known for charisma. So his DC is 15. I'll have them both roll.
Wow.
Good. And good.
Wow.
All right. Surprising nobody. They are now Baned. All right, where it is. There it is, the little star. So those two have Bane on him, and he's concentrating. That's the end of his turn. He doesn't want to back up and get fucking walloped, so he's gonna stay right there, which brings us to Zosha.
So Zosha is going to first step forward. Oh, I can't do math. 1 minute. She'll move forward like 15 feet to here-ish. And then kind of trembling and still angry, seeing that fireball worked last time, is going to cast it again, but like right here, so that the radius just hits them on the outside. So they should be the only ones. Yeah, they should be the only ones on the blast radius. So that's that's what that is.
Yup, cool. Good news is they both have Bane, so any roll is gonna minus D4 to it. So here's the goblin dex. They are pretty dexy.
Just barely makes it.
Yeah, just barely. And the other one, super no.
Oh no, which one was that one?
That's the ogre.
No. Okay.
That's no
goblin.
Way. Yeah, the goblin's dexy, so he rolled pretty well. So he takes half damage, but even taking that half damage, which is 10 points of fire damage, he looks bad.
Yeah.
It comes out kind of from behind them just because of the way you positioned it. And as that happens, you actually watch as like the whole back half of his whatever scraps of leather he was wearing just peels off of him in the fire, and you could see it looks like his whole back is still on fire as he is just screaming and sort of trying to take off his armor as quickly as possible. And he did try and get out of the way, and he kind of did, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
The ogre, however, just seems to take it full frontal, like on his back at least, still facing Lanitana because of that. And he just kind of seems to be patting himself off, and being as large as he is, he looks hurt, but not nearly as bad as the goblins. He's a chunky boy.
Yeah, so with that, Zosha will just say, trembling, "Leave now, or you will perish like the others." And she'll just, yeah, that'll be it. She'll stay there.
Yo, I love it. Can you give me an intimidation check at advantage?
The poor goblin's like, oh, my buddy.
Okay.
You just burned 4 out of these, like this guy's team of what, 7 or 8.
Wow. Awesome.
Oh shoot, I forgot to mention, sorry. One of the other announcements that I usually do is every game I give like a player inspiration, but we have it sort of on a round robin. Nunners, you have inspiration for tonight. So the inspiration die is with you if you ever want to use it. So, because whenever I see a battle roll, I'm like, someone can help, but not that you have to.
I rolled a straight 9 twice.
This is
Twice.
more for the goblins' benefit than anybody else.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
honestly.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
as you were saying that, the goblin is still too busy trying to not burn alive at the moment. But the ogre seems to turn and puny witch, and seems to be kind of raising his club ready to whack Lanitana, but it's not his turn yet. So.
How dare you? That's not even
All right, so that was your fireball action. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Nope. She'll just be waiting.
All right, sounds good. Which brings us to Kami.
Oof. Okay. A lot's happening. Like, Kami liked these goblins. These goblins were kind of cool, but these goblins aren't tribe. They made it very, very clear that they didn't want to be our tribe. And I feel like they don't deserve all of this, but, like, I don't know, like, the tribe that I'm with seems to have some, like, issues that they need to, like, work out physically, and if these people are the punching bag, I guess that's fine. We will move up supportively next to Bestie, and we will cast a firebolt, a produce flame. It's not a fire. It's much smaller, and not very impressive, but it's a solidarity produce flame.
Dude. Yeah, who are you trying to hit? You hit anyone on the board right now. Tell me who you're aiming at.
Like, I feel like Kami is familiar enough with the Moonbeam spell to be like, oh, that goblin is screaming a lot. And, like, as soon as they start to try to do something, they're gonna stop screaming. So I feel like, okay, that one's done. Oof, the screams, that's not good. But we'll just aim past toward the ogre. And, oh gosh.
All right, so you could just click the produce flame word. Yeah, there you go. For 7 points. Nice.
Another 7. And I turn to Zosha and I say, that was an incredible trick. This is new? It looks very good.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Oh, oh, oh. Um, yeah, I think Kami's already used her action, but I think the focus is now towards like Zosha, like at this point. So that will continue on the next turn.
All right, sounds good. So with that, oh shoot, we just got raided. Hello, Cuddle Guts. Thank you very much for bringing people here. We were in the middle of combat, so actually at the end of your turn, I believe that brings us to our lovely goblin, Plek.
Okay, so he's going to stare at the one ahead of him, kind of do his best Achilles impression, and in his head, in Goblin, like harsh Goblin, my friends are strong. Yours are dead. Run now. And he's just gonna like very steadily but slowly like move up towards him and the ogre essentially. And if he stays there, he's gonna attack him. If he leaves, he won't.
All right. I would love an intimidation check from you. I would say again at advantage because you guys are speaking truth right now.
There's also like
intimidation scores.
I want to see these sick intimidation scores.
Oh. Oh no.
Me and Black are ruining everything with our intimidation.
This goblin is gonna die fighting us out of spite.
This goblin.
This is.
I don't think this goblin's gonna make it past the next round. I don't think it's gonna.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, you're saying this, and you know you're speaking true. You're speaking its language literally, but it doesn't seem to be connecting. It maybe the pain, maybe hearing its mates in pain and then dying. It's just not in its right mind. It's not listening to you. It's still on fire at the moment. It's not retreating.
That's all Pluck needed. He's gonna attack initially. His first attack is on the goblin, and if it's still standing, again on it, and it's not
Got it.
I'm not at advantage, so ignore that.
Yep. We'll split them up. Yeah, the 22 absolutely hits the goblin, so you can go and roll damage.
Did he? Oh, sorry, I'm a little rusty. It's been a bit.
Okay. Oh my god. Yeah.
Is that damage?
So. There's no way. No, like we keeps doing that 2 thing, and we have to find out why. And I keep saying we will, and we don't, because I keep forgetting. So pardon me. He's super dead. Would you like to describe how you murdered him? There's no way he survived that.
In Goblin, as he's coming up, he like kind of steps to the side and then slashes with the spear, getting him like right across the throat. And just you did this to yourself. And again, in Goblin, as he falls. But if he dies, he's gonna try to reposition himself to. Do you do flanking in this one? I don't remember.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Then he'll take the flank.
Actually, don't go there.
Don't go. Well,
that's the moon.
Okay. I won't say that. Oh, you made this unflankable. Okay. We'll just stay there.
Okay. So, you can roll again for your on this guy. Yeah, unflanking, unfortunately, but just a flat roll for this one.
It's all good. It's hilarious.
Don't stand there.
Unflankable.
Oh my god, yeah.
Unflankable. Hilarious.
Obviously that hit. Roll me some damage.
Okay. He is considerably larger than I am, so I'm also gonna add Fury of the Small to that attack, as he's kind of like you think big bastard.
Which is what, another 3 points?
I think it's 3. It's my proficiency bonus, right?
Proficiency,
yes.
right? Yeah.
So that's 3, and we got him surrounded, right? I'm not trying to burn him down. Yeah, we're good here. We're good here.
Okay.
That stab has stayed in melee range, and that's the end of his turn.
As you were stabbing him, he had his maul up in the air and looked like it was about to come down on Lanitana. But you come up with your spear spike and kind of catch him in the ribs, and it's enough to kind of throw him off a little bit. Look down at you. I'm gonna see. He's gonna make a quick check too. He's pretty much the only visible person standing right now. but also not known for their wisdom. Guys, you guys are trying so hard to keep them alive, and between your rolls and mine, it's just not happening. But as you, again, speaking language they understand, oh shit, he's in Moonbeam. I need your roll for that because he's starting his turn in Moonbeam.
Yep, here we go.
The ogre. So he also needs to make a Constitution.
5 radiant. Wow, I rolled bad.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll.
God, I'm rolling garbage too. This is great. He starts his turn just getting blasted with radiant damage from the moonbeam behind him. But he's gonna bring his weapon down on the one who's casting the moonbeam and who is being all weird and bang their shield at him because he has a tiny brain. He does get 2 attacks, so first attack on Montana.
Oh my god.
That's
okay.
Hold up, I got something for that. No, you're good. Hold up. I'm sorry, I'm so rusty. I should have had this.
No, you're good. Yeah.
No.
That's what I said.
Fighting style protection. It's at disadvantage because Lonnie's.
Oh, thank you.
Oh wait, no. Are you within 5? You're not. Damn it. I'll psychic
here?
shield. Oh, no, it's a target. Hold on. Target other than you that's within 5 feet of you. You can use your reaction and pose.
Yeah, I think the target of their attack has to be within 5 feet of you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Then I'll shield Lonnie.
Okay, got it. Shoot, I closed his character sheet for no reason. Alright, so damages. Whew. So what does your shield do? Or how much does it shield?
I gotta roll. Give me a second.
Okay.
Again,
How well does your shield shield?
How shieldy is your shield? Real quick.
Okay, so my shield is my psionic die, plus my int modifier, and that's it, I think. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
psionic die. I'm so sorry. That's 5.
So it's plus what? Okay.
It's 4. I'm not at 20 yet, so it's 4. God dang it!
With that one shot, you will need to make a concentration saving throw on your moonbeam, which I think you need like an 11 or higher, 10 or higher,
Yeah,
because
it should
you
be
can get
fine.
higher than that.
I mean, I don't know if I can get another 19.
You're good. He is gonna strike at you twice though, because you did get a really good intimidation roll.
Yep.
Or persuasion. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, just hits. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another 10.
Okay.
He's going to do that. Oh, he's looking real bad though. Oh shoot. I forgot actually.
Okay. Moonbeam is gone. The second hit.
Moonbeam is gone. Not only that, but he has Skull Crush, which means if he gets a crit on you, you are stunned until the ogre's next turn.
Okay.
So Lanitana, with the first Morning Star that comes down, even though the shield comes up, it doesn't seem to be enough. It shatters on impact.
It can only do so much.
Fleck can do only so much to save the whole team. But you find yourself sort of just stunned and dazed in that spot.
Yeah.
But he rolled fucking garbage on his wisdom. I want to say he's gonna try and leave, but he fucking rolled like a 2? So, no, he rolled a 1, an actual 1. He's staying right there. He thinks he can take you all on. That's the end of his turn. Which brings us to Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, so Chrysanthemum's probably like looking at this situation and it's just gonna go, there's no need for me to try any harder, and just try with Acid Splash again.
Mm-hmm.
Just flinging some at him.
Yep. Alright, let's see. Dexterity is garbage. There you go. Garbage. Alright, so he takes 8 points. He is still up.
And so she'll probably just go, alright, finish him off, and then just wait around. But try to keep him intact. I'd like to harvest some parts.
Yo, so accurate. Dead on. Okay. That would bring us to the goblins, but the ones who are alive are not on the map, and you do not see them, so I'm going to move on to Lanitana, who is stunned, to him. Here we go. at the start of his turn, he's gonna like see you wavering and just, yeah, that sucks, doesn't it?
Oh,
gonna-
wait, Foos.
Yeah, yes.
This is total retro, but he was
No.
Bane.
He was
He
bait.
couldn't have crit.
Oh, yes, because the -4 would work against his roll to hit you.
The
And actually, the
-1
second
D4.
one wouldn't have hit you, because the D4 would have minus.
Sorry, I'm super. I
no.
should have been on
No!
top of that. I'm
You're good.
getting
Thank
there.
you. That's
Wait, so
exactly
that-
why.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
good
does,
to remember these things.
does that mean
So
Moonbeam is back?
the Moonbeam is back.
Moonbeam is-
You are not stunned, and you
Okay.
heal 10 points because that second shot was exactly your AC, and any minus would have tipped it
hey,
below
good,
your.
Good job.
So
Good job for Bane.
let's go, Nenners. You're killing it. All right. So you get your turn. We just skipped you, so we're just gonna say it's your turn. You have your
All
full
right.
turn right now, and
All
Moonbeam is
right.
good.
You know, I'm gonna just Sacred Flame this.
This
This
bitch.
guy right here. Yeah, let's get him.
All right, let's go.
Where is it? Normal. Actually, it has to make a. What is it? A deck save.
Nope. If he does not pass, he is dead.
Oh.
How would you like to describe murdering this ogre?
Oh, it's just like. It just like starts off as like a bright like yellow like kind of like. The flame is kind of like if you cut out like a fire like shape thing, it's just like that bright, and it just kind of just slowly engulfs this ogre.
Nice. So somehow this ogre thought he was going to win against all of you, especially with none of his friends being here anymore. But tactical thinkers, they are not. And after the damage from Fleck and then Lanitana getting whacked, but thankfully not enough to stun them, the sacred flame goes off, and you watch as the radiant just kind of churns and burns away at him in a less gruesome way than the fireball literally burned people alive. This light burns him in a different way. No shots at Kristen. I love you, and so you're amazing. But smoldering in his chest, you watch as his eyes roll back, and thankfully he seems to fall away from the team, especially with a small Fleck relatively nearby. But when the body hits the ground, it's enough to kind of like jar the three of you who are kind of right on top of this body. But with that, we are out of initiative. So I'm gonna get rid of
For posterity's sake, I'm gonna say Chrysanthemum is immediately looting every pile of goo and body possible. So if you just want to send Mocha like a message later of all of the kinds of goobly gop, I can roll investigation.
Will do.
We did not leave the most ideal state for these corpses.
Listen, I guarantee you that Chrysanthemum would still slop some stuff up into some jars and whatnot. Like, there are gonna be things for sure.
Absolutely agree. You can actually roll me for her a nature or medicine check, and then that will dictate what items she will find. Oh shit! Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah, man. As much as Kristen just perfectly described for us, she just goes to work. The bodies hit the ground, and she's already there, like slicing off pieces and just kind of looting and like getting in there. But she seems strangely, like in a kind of grotesque way, very fascinated with the fat of the ogre that is salvageable. She seems to be kind of holding it, like seemingly able to make something with it, but she seems happy to be collecting that.
I think Lanitana sees her running towards like, oh shoot, the moonbeam. Turn it off.
Oh yeah. Which is great because like as the body's sitting there, there's just like a subtle sizzle on like the back half of it because the moonbeam was still there. That's amazing. But yes, as you guys have thankfully finished this fleeting combat, the cleric kind of looks over all of you. Thank you. You were called here, right? We kind of established. She kind of like points the lights on it. That was you, right? Or was that?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Can we
Lonnie.
trust you?
I hope so. You're not part of. You don't look like a Malorite.
You don't either.
Yeah, because I'm not. just so you know.
I think Kami is going to like as soon as like she heard that, she was like focused in on Zosha and like seeing Zosha like with the same sort of like motions that she used for the big like fire thing, is going to like bring up Simon the staff, like put it in both of her hands and like clasp the hands over her hands and just like lead her through a little bit of a breathing exercise. Um, just like remember you're here, the earth is below you, like
Okay.
we're
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
No more spell hands. And she'll like put her hands down.
um, like I think Kami is worried and like not really sure at all what is like going on in Zosha's head, but like there is like stuff to do outside of it, and we'll just like back up and like probably like leave Simon with her, if she wants the snake staff, and just make her way over to the new cleric who's trying to speak to us.
I'm just gonna check in really quick. Plek, is there anything you're doing before we kind of
He's
return to
securing
the
while they do the social stuff. Black is still like poking at bushes, making sure they're not hiding or getting shoot us with arrows. But yeah, he's just doing like a sweep of the whole perimeter at the moment. Trying to keep an ear on them, make sure he's not out of earshot or anything, obviously, but still no immediate threats.
All right, sounds good. Go ahead and give me an investigation check for your perimeter sweep.
Oh,
and
investigation. Yes, we can do that.
You're ready to be like, no, I'm terrible at this.
You always ask me to do perception. I'm terrible.
I know, but the way you described it is very much like I'm taking in the facts as opposed to like I'm just glancing.
Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah. Sounds good. But you are on watch as you're looking around, and just because of your investigation, I will say, like in that area, the first bush you found, you can very much see sort of tracks and like disturbance in the broken like branches and some of the tracks on the ground that a goblin was there for a very brief time very recently, likely before the ogre's body hit the ground. One of them was hiding there and they just booked it, but you're pretty confident at the moment that nobody is within attacking distance. The others look like they probably ran all the way away. But I will leave you there, and the cleric kind of looks over everyone again. I know it's weird because I imagine you were forced here in a way. Is that, how did you get here? I guess is what I should ask.
We were brought here. We assume on a call from Being of Light.
Yeah. Her name is Yoriana. She is. And he kind of reaches under his shirt and pulls out what looks to be a symbol of some kind. At a glance, it almost looks like it's in a shield sort of shape, but there seems to be a skull in the center, what looks like angelic wings on the outsides of the skull, and an open book in front of it. She, I believe, is why you're here. The crystals. I think she sent some out. She said for various reasons, but I am Neville, by the way. It is nice to meet you. You are?
Kami is just, as soon as she sees motion of that, is just walking straight up to this person, and having to look like right up, very, very close to the thing. It's like face 2 inches from the chest.
Got
And is going to try to see if the symbol or the name Uriel,
Yoriana. I'll type it out for you.
Yuriana, see if the name Yuriana jogs any memory.
Yeah.
Can make a religion check.
Yes, you can. Go for it.
Gosh, here we go.
Here
I'm
we
learning.
go.
Roll
You're doing great. You're doing great.
option. Here we go. I'm at core and religion.
Oh,
Nice.
shit!
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. You have not seen this symbol before. However, in your teachings, you were very much well educated in religion and other gods, deities, beliefs, and such. You have heard of this entity, certainly deity, but from what you read and from what you can remember, because you're a wonderful 25, it was on the lower end of the deity sort of ranking. There are tiers to it, but this one, Yoriana, sounded like she was on the lower end of the scale. And also the symbols kind of help remind you of the studies that you read about her. She was an interesting one because for the most part, deities usually cling to 1 or 2 domains, the typical domains that clerics can find themselves following, nature, war, things like that. Yoriana was unusual because she has 3, and you can see them well represented here. She represented life, death, and knowledge, which is an unusual combination. It might have been a reason why she's a little bit lesser, perhaps, maybe spreading her power too thin along all of these domains. But not only that, gods and goddesses and deities all have a portfolio, which is different from their domains. It's kind of symbols that represent them, not necessarily unique to them. But Yoriana is very much known for her portfolio of the moon as well. And you know that Malar is also very much associated with the moon. But you've never met anyone who follows her. And she, interestingly enough, is also probably one of the youngest deities. But that's what you recall from all your studies.
Oh, Yuriana has kidnapped us.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way, yeah.
Why are we here?
There's a lot to explain, and we're not really safe out here. Her temple isn't far. If you would like, I could lead you.
Oh, there is a temple here.
What's left of one? Yeah.
Can I make an insight check?
Sure. What are you checking him about on /about/words?
I don't think that Con trusts him. This Neville character, you could have just paid your taxes. Like, this is these people's houses, and you're walking through with very expensive armor. You could have paid the tax. Instead, you were willing to die fighting an ogre and a gang. This feels like a trap. Seems like, oh, I have a perfect place to go to. That will be safe. This feels a lot like a trap. And I just want to get a sense of intentions. Is this person, like, hiding that they want to do us harm?
Got it.
So, here we go.
Hit me with that insight. Let's go. Okay. I have way too many character sheets open right now. Okay. As as you're watching him and trying to kind of pick apart not only his body language, but even his tone, where he's looking, everything about him, it's a little hard to read, mostly because he seems a little jarred at the moment. Whether that was the fact that he just got beamed by an ogre not too long ago, or that he was surprised to find you guys here in this forest. It doesn't seem as though he means you harm. He does seem surprised to see you, however. If anything, he seems hesitant to kind of lead you to where he said he would.
Yeah, I think Kami is going to like very like closely just like look them up and down, is like probably gonna like get very, very close to their eyes so she can like see like some facial expressions. It's probably even gonna like flick out the tongue a little bit just to like smell the air around.
He is actively like backing up from you every time you do it. Like there's no step away from you, but he is body leaning away with like every motion that you do in his direction. Can I answer some questions for you? You seem distrustful.
I turn to Lanitana and say, nah, I don't say anything yet. I will grunt with a turn around and walk back towards Zosha. And grab her hand if she is amenable to that.
No. Like, as Kami turns, you see him just. Okay, good talk.
Yoriana's method of summoning was not quite as clear for the rest of our friends.
She is one of action, not one to. She's also in danger, so I imagine she didn't take time away from what could be her last moments to explain everything. She said she was going to call for help, though.
Yes, we did communicate with her, and the situation that she was in did seem incredibly dire.
It is extremely so.
Oh yes, we are Lanitana of the Silent Song, worshipper of the Path of Light.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, Path of Light is something we've been educated on.
I sense some similarity, as we also have an affinity for crystals, and they will kind of hold up their staff. It's a source of power and worship for us as well.
It's you see him kind of look over his shoulder. There's more. Would you like to see them?
Of course.
It might actually give you all a little more clarity as well. But it is nice to meet you, Lanitana. And like his eyes drift towards Plek. And thank you for stabbing the other goblins, I guess.
They're not friends of mine. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're hiding in these bushes somewhere. He's just like smashing. So sneaky.
Just doing lawn maintenance in the background.
But nice to meet you. Yes. Just going back to it.
Great. Okay. And he looks past Lanitana for a moment at both Zosha and Kami, and then, like, still looking in their direction, leans in a little bit more towards Lanitana. Should I just not talk to them? Are they okay?
It has been a trying few hours. We just got here not too long ago, and everybody's a little bit on edge. We did encounter the champion of Malar here. Not more than a rest ago.
Kausvena?
Yes, that one.
And you made it. How did that? What happened?
She apparently wants us to become stronger so she can have the hunt be more fulfilling.
Well, I suppose she finds you worthy of it, I suppose. Can't say the same for everybody, but if that gives you a chance to fight her and win, then great. In any case, if you'll follow me not too far, maybe you'll have some luck communing, as I have been. So you see him kind of straighten himself out a little bit, and then turn to kind of walk you guys off in a certain direction. It does seem to kind of be in the opposite direction where you guys were coming from, and if you all follow, I won't put words in anybody's mouth.
Yeah.
You will see you guys start walking, and there does seem to be a dull blue glow, just like gently pulsating further down the path.
Mhm.
But it is so thick with trees that at the moment it's not perfectly clear. But after walking for 15 or 20 or so minutes, you're starting to make out crystals that from the distance look large, and next to the trees you kind of have a little bit of a comparison to understand that they're much taller than the others you have encountered. But walking closer and closer, you find yourselves surrounded by pretty much a path of these bluish crystals gently glowing in the darkness, but with the moonlight on them specifically. That, you swear, the tallest ones reach about 40 feet in height. Just massive, colossal crystals you find yourselves walking through. And as you do, you see him kind of reaching out one of his hands to rest against one of the crystals. And actually, who has the highest passive perception here? I don't remember. Sorry. I feel like I ask this every single session.
Let me just check does my thing do anything for passive? Just double check. It's 18.
Okay, gotcha. Your passive perception is 18. Gotcha. So I will let you know what you notice in just a second.
Chrysanthemum's 13, mine is 14.
Okay, gotcha. I'm just gonna scoot you guys over. This is where you find yourselves at the moment. But hold on, let me just let you know what's going on. Okay, so he leans over and puts his hand on one of the crystals, and as he does, the moon that seems to be kind of making each of these glow a little bit brighter seems to kind of pulsate just for a moment on that particular one. And as he closes his eyes, you hear him kind of taking a deep breath and sigh, almost as if he's trying to sort of meditate. But you kind of expect him to go into a trance or just not speak or communicate at all. But with his eyes closed and after his soft sigh, he speaks out loud, still with his eyes closed. She's still fighting, but confirms you are the ones. I think some might have actually been by accident. And he turns over his shoulder and looks at Plek. Others had more direct connections. And he turns to look at Lanitana. But if you give it a try, she might answer your questions better than I can. If you're willing.
Yeah, I think with that, Lanitana is going to do the same thing that they did with the big crystals, kind of just get in meditation position, and you can't hear, but they are kind of saying prayers to themselves, and after a little bit, they will put their hand slowly toward the crystal.
Got it. As you do, you feel the crystal from your weapon kind of start to warm a little bit, and the same with the crystal in front of you. It's comforting, much like you felt before the tree had summoned you away.
And- I
sure.
think they will also kind of reach out their hand if anybody wants to join.
Yeah, I think Kami is staying back, like from all of this, just like still very untrusting of Neville. Like just Neville? Nah, I don't like it. I don't like the name, I don't like the energy, I don't like the vibes. She's gonna stay like at the edge of the bridge and just be listening and keeping an ear and a nose out.
Yeah, Zosha is just gonna be standing with Kami, not necessarily distrusting or suspicious. She's very much so like retreated into her own mind and seems to like be fidgeting and just thinking a lot.
And Plek, are you still on watch duty?
Plek is also, he's not that he doesn't trust, but the realm of the religious is not his place. So he's just gonna kind of just stand and watch over, do the one thing he thinks he's good at and just kind of watch over his friends.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's true. Last time I tried to do, they disappeared for like a good minute or two. It's just like just vanished
in a column of light. Everyone was like, "She'll be fine."
What are
She'll be fine. We don't know.
Yeah, it was half of us were scared, half of us were chill. It was very strange. What are the chances Chrysanthemum could like chip off a piece of one of these crystals or something?
You are welcome to try. What are you using to try and chip something off?
That's a great question. Let me look at not my character sheet.
I'm gonna steal Mocha's shit and use that to break down the crystal.
Oh, there is a sickle. She has a sickle.
She sure does.
So that.
Those sickles very good for mining.
So
I'm
you're
just
doing this,
trying to be true to
Mocha. Okay.
Yeah.
No, this is freaking hilarious. But she takes out her sickle and kind of methodically approaches one of the crystals and without haste is more like, what is this? Can I mine it? That's sort of an inquisitive way of going about this, but the sickle, unfortunately, doesn't seem to do much to it.
Okay, what?
She's careful enough not to possibly damage her weapon, and she does recognize that, like, if she tried harder, she would probably damage the weapon. On one side, it might be a little more dull now that she even tried, but...
Alright, yeah, I guess that we'll stop that there, then. It was worth a shot.
Alright. Sounds good.
This like serene meditation. It's like...
Yeah, just like dragging her sickle across the crystals. Like, no, guys, it doesn't work. I tried. Nothing happened. So with Lanitana having this like meditative situation, the two women just kind of staring from a distance. Chrysanthemum trying to scrape some crystals, which sounds like drugs now, and Plek kind of. And with Plek looking from his spot as well. Lanitana, you are the only one who seems to kind of attempt this connection of some kind. And if you don't mind, could you roll me a D100?
All right, D100. All right. Oh, no. There we go.
Okay.
16.
16. Not out of 20, out of 100, folks. Okay, so placing your hand on it and focusing as well. You managed to commune before, and you were able to kind of get a clearer picture and see what was kind of going on. Rather than, interestingly enough, you do make a connection. However, it's not as though you're seeing what's happening right now. You kind of immediately get the idea that something is trying to show you what had happened as opposed to what is happening right now. And it's a different feeling, and it's a little disorienting because as before you were watching a scene, this is almost taking you through someone else's experience. Like you see it.
This is not entirely unusual because Maitana doesn't dream.
Oh, yeah.
When they sleep, they experience memories of the conjoined spirit. Yeah, this
very
is
much so.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual for you, but it is different than the last time you tried to commune. And in this, what you actually kind of get what seems to be snippets of scenes, and in a way you're almost confused as to what their order is. You're not sure what came first, what's happening now. But the first few visions that you start to get seem to be a woman fully armored, and you seem to be kind of looking down from her eyes as she's looking over herself. There seem to be sort of black feathery wings that are kind of curled around her at the moment, sort of buffeting slowly, and you realize she is actually flying at the moment, and one arm is extended and seems to have a large and long bladed glaive of some kind. And her, the weapon, her wings, and her armor all seem to be caked in blood, dripping from this distance. And as she's looking down, you can see what seems to be a structure of some kind. And unfortunately, it's too far away and this vision goes too fast for you to kind of make out what it is. But just the general structure, the rock formations that were used to kind of create it, maybe it was a temple of some kind. You can't really quite make that particular part out, but it sort of cuts away from that in a jarring way that would be really discombobulating to others, but I would think Lanitana's like, all right, here we go. Kind of follows along with that trail. But moving from there, you see, again, the same figure kind of looking down. This time she's standing. The wings are still covered in blood, but they're lighter now, whereas before they were sort of a dark, ashy black almost. They seem to be kind of like an off-white gray now. And the weapon has changed, it looks like, and so has the armor. All a little bit lighter, but still from her vision. The weapon, however, does not seem to have blood anymore. And as that vision is kind of coming into clarity and you're starting to get an idea of where she's standing and where she is, she seems to be surrounded by a night sky. But as you're kind of figuring out what constellations and stars seem to be around here, you hear a growl off to the side, and the vision cuts. It comes back again to another moment where you see her seemingly checking a corpse of some kind, again from her vision, sort of leaning over a body. And as you're looking over it, it seems to be silver-haired, very, very dark obsidian skin and pointed ears. She looks as though she's seeing if this woman is alive, but in thoroughly inspecting the body, does not seem to be at all. While you're here, you can make me a religion check. But after this vision, it very abruptly sort of shunts you back into your body after getting those 3 separate visions.
15.
Not bad. All right. Interestingly, these visions likely were tied to Yoriana in some way. But you are also, thankfully, well aware of other gods and deities and such. There are not a lot of drow deities. And there certainly aren't a lot that are tied to good alignments. And it strikes you because Eilistrai is a rare breed indeed. She is a drow goddess, a deity who represents the moon as well, but also tends to guide drow who might not be interested in Loth and her cruel habits. She instead offers a different path. And you're fairly certain you saw her lifeless body being checked on by this in this vision right before it kind of shunts you back out. And for everybody else, Lanitana seemingly just put her hand on this crystal and closed her eyes. There was nothing that really changed around her very much other than the crystal kind of pulsating brightly for a moment. But whereas Neville seemed to be very not focused, but present, and he was able to speak with you as he kept his hand on the crystal, Lanitana seemed to zoink out entirely. It was just not there for probably 30 seconds or so. Thankfully, much shorter than the last time she disappeared at any kind of problem in life. But afterwards, after the 30 or so seconds, Manitani, you find yourself back in your body and fully conscious of what's going on. But right beside you is Neville with his hand still on it and looking over. How'd it go?
It was different than last time. The visions were scattered. There was no... we could not communicate with her directly. It's more like memories. And she has been through quite the ordeal. A lot of violence, a lot of loss. What I did see is it's not just her, it's every deity linked to the moon. There's another that had fallen, and that could not be saved.
Yeah.
Which means if she falls and can't keep this up, there will be more that fall, not just one.
She's, interestingly enough, more powerful gods have fallen. I believe the only reason she is where she is because she has always been a warrior. Right now she's fighting.
But not forever.
Right.
Not at this rate. Not with what's happening here.
Right.
Not with Millar here.
I tend to what's left of the temple. And to be transparent, I am still burying other followers. So, I will lead you there, but I will be otherwise occupied in the graveyard. I will also warn you, some of those smelly hunters have made it clear that they feel like, just to make sure I know it's not fully safe. Yoriana's light will guide us and keep us safe for the most part. But we are not fully protected, is I guess what I should say. We can still be attacked, but we will at least have Yoriana's light on our side.
We are used to walking in darkness.
That I see. As he stares at your black eyes. Anyway, are you all ready, I guess? It's not too long of a trek.
Ready.
So, yeah. I think Kami will sort of just nod from like a little ways off. Like it seems like it's gonna be a trek. Will sort of like summon Simon from the staff, and hop on, and offer a seat to Zosha as well.
Yeah, Zosha will jump on quietly.
Alright. So with that, the rest of everybody really will start to follow. And you are walking for some time. If there's any conversation you would like to have on the way over or anything you'd like to check out on the way, I will give you that opportunity now. Just so I'm not shuffling you from one spot to another.
Yeah. I think Liontown hasn't seen another, like, it's been a long time since they've seen like another follower of another god or anyone that kind of walks a similar path that they do. I think there's just like a little bit. There's like a lot of like conversation happening as far as like it's one sided because it's like they are using the thing, so it's like nodding and then response from him.
Yeah.
Nodding.
Mentally. Yeah. What would you like to say to him, or what are you asking him about?
Just more about her, like what they do around here, like that, that sort of thing, like just interest in what they do and what the path follow, like the needs of them, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Give me a persuasion check if you don't mind.
Okay. 9.
He explains to you that he found Yoriana at a sort of lower point. He was from a small town that was quite a distance away from this forest. But he won't go into detail, but he does say when he was at his worst, he found one of her crystals by accident. And she bestowed him with knowledge and hope. And of her 3 domains of the life, death, and knowledge, he kind of clings to the knowledge part more than anything. And sort of admits that he's young and has made stupid mistakes and is trying to use her teachings to kind of be a wiser person. And to be a better student as well. Which he kind of jokingly says that he's not the best student, but is attempting to be better at it. But he seems open with you in speaking about Yoriana and even his experiences, even though he holds back very specific details, but is happy to converse.
Good.
So, does this Neville guy look like he's strong?
What can you give me for that one? You're a fighter, right? I don't know, because like you have the know thy enemy, but I don't think you have that at this level. So I'm trying to think of like what that would translate to. You can give me another investigation. I'll give you investigation as you
arm wrestle.
I appreciate that.
Man, let me arm wrestle you real quick. I have a question.
Yes.
All right, nice, with a very nice roll. He seems of sort of like average build, if you could kind of glean what you can from his figure. In a way, the armor and clothing seems to kind of hang on him a little bit, like perhaps he lost weight recently or something, but he doesn't seem particularly strong, but he certainly doesn't seem sort of feeble and weak, especially after seeing the emaciated goblins. He is by no means weakened himself in any kind of state, but maybe a little more on the slim side, but there's certainly enough definition and tone to not only his figure and his shape, but also in the way he moves. He did seem very natural in combat. There wasn't a sort of awkwardness or a unfamiliarity with his weapons or with what he was doing. But little on the skinnier side for a human.
Hey, do you need help digging those graves? Maybe moving some gravestones?
Oh, would you like to help?
I'd love to. It sounds like a great workout.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I have spare shovels. That's so weird. You're not like, I don't know, you don't worship anything, do you?
Well, I kind of loosely, but it has nothing to do with digging graves.
Just curious. I wasn't sure if there was a ceremony or something you were involved in. I appreciate the help. I'm sorry. I haven't ever run across anyone who was willing to dig graves for people they've never met. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, don't thank me. Yeah, once we get working, it's gonna be great. Just let me know how deep.
Sure, I will. No problem. Like you can see, he's sort of grappling with like what he just experienced. There's a part that recognizes he's probably burying people he knows, and this goblin is smiling at burying the bodies. So it's like, thanks for the help, but this is very strange. But he just sort of nods afterwards and looks over you again, almost as if he's searching for a symbol or some kind of iconography that he could place, but gives up and I appreciate it. Thank you. Is your head supposed to look like that? He kind of like points at the tentacles in the back of your head.
That's a long story. I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, because I just saw goblins and none of them had that.
I'm pretty sure this is unique to me. I hope.
Okay. How are you?
I'm fine. It was a light warm up. I enjoyed that. But all this walking, no real, exercise. It's kind of getting to me. So, I'm kind of looking forward to digging those graves.
Understood. Okay. Kind of like clocks out of the conversation after that. Continues leading.
Oh my god, Neville, you can't just ask people why they have tentacles. I'm sorry. That came up.
What's
for
your heads
me.
up? Why are your eyes like that? It's like,
This man's in a corrupt forest. This weird goblin comes at him. No, I love that. That's amazing. I almost wish that Kami said that in character. Like, listen. But he continues. Sorry, were you gonna say something else, Anita?
If you're done with that scene.
Yeah.
I think that Kami is gonna be up, like, riding near Simon's head. Zosha probably, like, I'm not sure where Zosha is sitting, like, exactly.
Probably like right behind Kami or just a little bit behind. Not too far.
I feel like we just, like, it's a long sort of trek, so like 5 minutes of just like sitting, feeling the sway of Simon beneath us, like I feel like I can also almost like remember a lot of very good times, a lot of like peaceful times where we would see the rolling fields, mountains in the distance, and just enjoy the road. And I think Kami can just for a second, like, close her eyes and imagine herself anywhere but here. I feel like in the, like, sway of this, she'll open her eyes and, like, probably just, like, hear, like, Neville's voice peep up and say, like, why do you have tentacles? Like, and, like, sort of take a deep breath and say, I kind of want to rob him. I see where the goblins were coming from.
He's interesting. I actually haven't paid much attention to him. And maybe that's a good thing. Because if you don't like him, I probably wouldn't.
You are getting more strong.
Am I? Was that strength? Or was that just cruelty?
With magic.
Maybe that walks the line between the two, then.
Of that I had never seen before. You are getting stronger with it. Here I might be left behind a little.
No, that's silly, and not true. I didn't even know I could do that until I was doing it, and I don't know how I feel about having done it. It's not a competition or a race, though, Kami. I mean, we're in this together, side by side, and I hope you race far ahead of me in terms of skill and talent. You deserve that. And you've always been impressive. So that's not something you have to do. It's just something you are.
I left home and started traveling with you so I could hold reality in the palm of my hand and mold it however I liked. Magic is power. And I feel that us being with these people has opened us up to a lot of power.
Good and bad. We have to be careful what choices we make. I think.
I also believe that if we are to survive this, we need to learn the skill of killing. We have not learned that before.
No, we haven't. I mean, it looks like I might be pretty good at it, all things considered. We'll see. I can do the killing if you don't want to. I don't want to compromise your morals.
I think she's gonna turn to you, and like, you've seen Kami smile before. This is Kami showing her teeth. And she'll say, I did not leave home to be moral. I left home to be strong. I like being strong. I will try harder. We will do this together.
Kami, please don't feel like you have to lose the strength that you do have, which is in the morality of giving everyone more chances than they probably deserve. That is a strength you have that is incredibly powerful, and that you are light years ahead of any being in terms of. Don't feel the need to become something else if you don't truly want that. You want that, not this forest corrupting your mind, or her getting into it, or you watching me melt people. Don't let those things affect it. Only make the choices that you truly want to make. Please, at least do that. And if this is what you want, then, like, that's cool. Yeah, we'll kill all the people together. That's fine. I just want to be sure that it's really you, because I am not sure it's really me right now.
I think she's going to turn around so that like she's facing you to back to Simon's head.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to look at you very seriously and say, "Do not make me a saint. I am not. And take your own advice as well. I want to do this magic stuff with all of you. I'm willing to make sacrifices for that."
Okay.
Think about how melting goblins felt today. And think about what you mean to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're.
You mean to me as well.
Oh.
So.
Thank you. Zosha's like, her like paler skin is now like red again. Just like embarrassed and unable to accept niceties, even though Kami has been nice to her for their entire journey together. Still can't take it. Yeah, okay.
I think that Kami is probably going to ask to see like the work you did last night and like how that like I think she wants to initiate an Arcana talk to just like let's talk shop, let's like this was really cool, like look through your spell book and like if we have an hour of walking, I would like to take a short rest and recover some spell slots. While we look at the book and like do that Circle of the Land / wizard restoration stuff.
Get our shit back, basically. You are walking for over an hour, and thankfully it is light activity. So we can say that as a team, you guys do get a short rest. Excuse me, I almost said long rest. So if there's anything that you guys get back or any hit dice you want to roll, feel free to do that. But that being said, I think it's actually a pretty good time for us to take our break right before you guys make it at the end of your short rest walk that you're having here. So we're going to go on break for a few minutes. We'll be back in a few as well. I always forget exactly how long it is, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Thank you. All right. Welcome back. We are picking up with our team walking through the corrupt forest following a mysterious cleric they met not too long ago by the name of Neville. A few conversations were had on the way. A short rest was had, as thankfully it was light activity on their way over. But also, just as a reminder, make sure that you got whatever you should be checking back or recovering from your short rests. But a little over an hour until you start seeing more of those crystals laid out. Whereas before, there seemed to be sort of a wall on either side of the path when he first sort of showed you that collection in that area. When you started walking away from them, there were some that are sort of intermittently spread throughout the forest. But the closer you get towards the temple that he is leading you towards, the more you're starting to see there seem to be kind of specific collections not too far away from each other. And they're far more numerous in this area. And every single one of them seems to have a beam of moonlight that almost hits and makes that very specific one glow gently. It's never sort of a blinding experience, unlike other previous experiences, but it's gentle and soft, and if you watch long enough, they almost seem to kind of twinkle, but only when you seem to look at them. But you continue onward until eventually you start to see signs of civilization. Stone pathways, along with small little sort of stone fences that lined this walkway that kind of bleeds into the forest. But as you guys are walking into it, you realize this kind of winding path leads towards a temple. But you do find yourselves first walking through a very, very large graveyard. And much to most likely Plex delight, you can see that there are a few graves that are freshly dug, but there are a few that seem to have a respectful covering of some kind. In some cases, a bedroll that was the closest thing that could be found. In some cases, very lightly buried, but other bodies that need attention. But Neville was having friendly conversation, mostly with Lanitana, and seemed to be sort of in better spirits. But the closer you guys got, and as soon as you got into the graveyard, you noticed his mood changes to one that is far more somber. But as he's walking you through, he doesn't look over his shoulder, but he does seem to be speaking to everyone behind him as he's leading everyone through these paths. If you don't mind, just be respectful. Don't, the graves, and don't touch the bodies unless you're helping with the graves. And anyway, the temple is just ahead. If you'd like, you can take refuge there. As I mentioned, I have some more work that I'd like to do out here. You should be safe within the temple. If anything comes out, I'm sure you'll hear me once again crying out for help if anything comes along. But you can rest if you'd like.
I'll meet you guys inside. I'm gonna get a workout here. He's gonna doff the top part of his plate and stick his spear in the dirt and just get ready.
There is, as you start doing that, you see him extending a hand, about to point you in a direction, but as you're doing that, you can already see that there's one right next to you that needs to be sort of dug up. And okay, you seem to have it just fine. Usually at least 6 feet. Usually, if you can. Can you get out of it taller? Okay, sure. If you need help, let me know. I'll be right next to you, actually, really. Let's get started.
Sure.
Thank you. And he picks up another shovel beside you and starts getting to work. I'm going to say he's over here. I'm just going to pull him over there. And the rest of you can see that if you kind of follow this sort of path down here, this is the one that leads towards the temple. You guys kind of came in from the left side of the map, and the top just sort of seems to fade into forest. But this is where you find yourselves. The two of them are just digging. Actually, I'm very curious. Can you roll me an athletics check? I want to see how good this goes. You can
I've
do
been
it. This is
rolling
not a
way
matter
too
of like.
well. This is,
I know this is not a matter of passing or failing. You could do it. I just want to see like how incredible of a job you're doing.
Okay. Why am I looking in the wrong section? There we go. That's not athletics. That is.
My brain's like, that's water breathing. Huh. Okay, yeah, not bad at all. Um, you're getting into the swing of things. You find that by the time you're pretty much done with one, Neville has like barely gotten one suitable enough to like get the body. So you're going at a much quicker pace than he is, but he seems to recognize it and sort of give you a bit of an awkward nod, like well done, but wow, that was he's very enthusiastic about digging graves. That's fine. At least he's helping. Kind of goes back to his job. And what would the rest of you like to do?
I think that Kami is. I think Kami wants more information, like about, like. I think Kami wants more information about this goddess. Like, doesn't really know anything about Yoriana, and I think she thinks that she might find some more clues or information in the temple. So I think she's going to continue there to try and...
Zosha's right on that with her. Like the same line of thinking. Like we can't rest. We at least need to be learning something. Kind of mindset.
Like, I feel like we look like towards each other, like on Simon's back, and then like hop off. Simon probably won't be able to fit in the temple, so we'll probably just like ask Simon to like sort of like swirl up the temple, like climbing a tree, and just like keep a lookout just around, like specifically on Plek, just to make sure that Plek's okay.
Okay. The temple is much larger than you were expecting. I will say, like, he probably wouldn't be able to fit his whole body inside very comfortably. Like, he'd probably be kind of as you see on the token, like, he would just be very much layered on himself in order to fit comfortably. But he can absolutely wrap around the top and be lookout if you'd prefer that.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. He can give me a perception check while he's up there to see how his scouting is going while he's up there.
First Simon roll of the day.
Let's go, Simon.
All right, you are proficient in the perception skill. Oh gosh, can you?
Not bad. Yeah, it went through. It went through.
Okay.
Don't worry. All right, so we'll take the 15. But he is a lookout on top of this temple, which is rather large, and you're starting to kind of make out what looks like almost siege damage to the outside of it. There seemed to have been sort of the expected center, sort of nave of the temple here, and there seem to have been two wings, and one of which looks like it is completely collapsed. And even kind of walking past it, you can see quite a bit of scratch marks, bludgeoning damage of some kind. It looks like siege damage had been done, but it looks more like a beast had simply attacked it, and perhaps because of its size or sheer strength, it was enough to crumple part of this temple. And the left wing seems completely collapsed, whereas the right wing is very heavily damaged, but some parts of it are still up. The center is still up of this temple, and that's also why it's much larger than you were expecting. Like maybe sort of a shack-sized temple instead, but this looks large and impressive, or at least it was at some point. And interestingly enough, it also seems to kind of match the stonework that was found not too far away from here. Some of the damage that had been done had trailed off into the forest. Perhaps someone carried it there, perhaps for some other reason, but it does seem to match.
I think Kami's gonna turn to Zosha and say, "No, may have said that this place was safe, but keep an eye out.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust that one, so it's all good.
And we'll enter the partially crumbled temple.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna move you down so I remember where you guys are. Lanitana, what would you be doing at this moment?
Yeah, heading down to the temple.
The temple as well. Okay, good. Just making sure. I am going to lump Chrysanthemum in with you guys, just because I don't know if she would hang out here for too long.
Oh, what's the point of hanging around out here if I've been asked not to disturb the bodies, and I'm not about to mess with that shit, so I might as well go. Something like that.
Right, exactly. You guys are able to make it in, no problem. But the temple door seems to kind of barely be standing, and as you're walking in, you start hearing sort of babbling water, but very, very faintly. But stepping in, it seems to all be made of stonework, and very masterfully done as well. It does look old, and parts of it have been very, very, very badly damaged. But it's mostly intact. There does seem to be an overgrowth of plants on the inside, as if perhaps left unattended, or perhaps with the recent activity, the nature in this area started kind of going a little haywire. Either way, you can still make out what seems to be landscaping attempts, a bladed weapon of some kind to kind of pull away at some of the vines and roots that have grown inward, as well as a broom that was futilely trying to keep the area clean. But with some of the holes in the roof and the collapsed sides, it's certainly a futile effort. But you do make out familiar symbols along the walls. The same iconography that Neville was carrying. The skull, the wings, the book. And the shape of it initially looked like it was a shield. But staring at it a little longer, especially now that you're in the temple and you can see one of the larger symbols sort of very carefully etched into this stone with great craftsmanship, the shield shape is actually a crystal. Very similar to the ones that you've seen outside as well. There's a lot going on in this symbol, probably because Yorgana has a lot to tell. But you guys find yourselves in this sort of opening, moonlight coming through the holes in the ceiling, and a small-ish fountain ahead of you that looks like it's probably in need of a replenishing of water. But it is still babbling a bit weakly.
I think Tommy goes to check out the fountain, because that's interesting. Yeah, I guess, just there was something very weird about the water, it was being diverted, a ways back. Just trying to, get a sense of how this water system works, / if there are any, signs on it that, would mean anything to somebody that studies religion.
Sure. You can give me a religion check as well as a nature check.
At the same time, can Zosha just be hardcore investigating everything? She is being very meticulous, trying to look for any information she can glean about the situation they're in and what they're supposed to do, or if there's things that can help them. Just being very intense about it. So
not a problem at all. So you can go ahead and give me a investigation check. And as that's happening, oh my goodness, look at these. Yes. All right. And Lanitana, is there anything in specific that you are going to be looking for or doing?
Yeah, I think they're going to, in a similar way, just kind of figure out if they can glean any more about the history of this goddess or what the temple was for or that sort of thing. Just learn more.
Yeah, sure. You could. It's up to you. If you want to do investigation, or history or religion. Sort of open-ended.
Let's see. Sure.
And I do have a map for you guys that I kind of forgot about. So hold on, let me
Oh
drag
my
you
god.
over. I know. I have
Religion is clearly the best.
Oh. Okay, gotcha. All right. So this is kind of what you're seeing for the most part. All right. So Kami is the first to kind of take a look at the fountain, try and see what's going on, if there's anything out of sorts or anything that sort of catches her attention. But as you're walking up, it does seem to be low on water. And a part of you is wondering if maybe that's evaporation, or again, you saw a river change course. Maybe it has something to do with that. But going up to it, it looks instead like maybe it was used in some way, but in a very local situation. Perhaps not in a formal manner, likely not a bucket that was dumped in and then sort of used elsewhere. But just sort of looking around at some of the stonework and some of the damage that had been done, there seems to have been an effort to clean the area, evident by the broom and some of the landscaping items that you found around here. But it looks like maybe part of it might have been used in trying to clean. And in staring and looking around the area, you can see what looks like very subtle smudges, but also it looks like blood that had seeped in between the stone that perhaps wasn't cleaned in time, but is very subtle. But just in investigating around it, the water was likely used in an attempt to kind of pretty up the place a little bit more. And unfortunately, with your religion, you're not quite catching any details here that would otherwise give you more information. And I will also say for, Zosha, I almost said Anita because I was looking at your name, pardon me. For Zosha, as you're studying this area, you're actually, the first thing you start kind of making out is there seem to be a lot of footprints in various directions. It looks like this was a place of chaos, probably a while ago. Most of it had been cleaned, but with your incredible investigation, you can start kind of make out the ends of boots and what seems to be claw marks in some cases. And what kind of catches your attention mostly is there also seems to be sort of, not necessarily a slithering fashion, but looking up at the large vines that have sort of grown into this place, it looks as though there was movement very similar to the pattern of how a vine would perhaps move or grow, but rapidly instead. And you see it sort of like skittering along the floor in various directions. Nothing that seems coherent, but just looking down and kind of taking in those facts, you imagine that not only was part of this building collapsed, but there was likely a struggle, a fight in the actual temple. And there was attempts to kind of make it look better, but it's not great. And you're able to kind of pick up those little details.
Yeah, can I cast Detect Magic?
Sure. Yep, thank you. Okay, got it. Just making sure I remember everything correctly.
Yeah.
You are catching very, very faint glow of magic along a lot of the plant life here. And excuse me a second as I make sure I'm going to give you the right information. And staring at it a little bit longer, it does seem to glow with a little bit of transmutation magic. But all of the plant life that has kind of squeaked its way between the stones, or even the large vines that have extended over the ends and even through the openings in the ceiling and down into this room, all seem to glow very gently with transmutation.
Well, all of the plants and everything, they kind of glow with some magic and stuff, so I don't know, we maybe be on our guard, like they might grab us by the feet or something, I don't know.
Ooh, I think at that prompt, Kami is going to look specifically at the plants and see like if her druid stuff will glean anything more.
Okay. You can go ahead and give me a nature check if you would like.
Okay. Uh, nature. Uh,
Oh, sorry, I lost it. Nice, very nice. All right. Yeah. Okay. I will keep it at that. But as you're like taking a knee to kind of look at some of the plant life that has kind of forced its way in and through the stones, you're getting the idea that this was probably a spell of some kind to make it more difficult for those who maybe trying to escape would get in their way and make it so that it was hard to run away. Maybe they were boxed in, or maybe the attack came from inside. But inside the temple was also part of some kind of trap, it looked like. And being a druid, you're very familiar with the spell plant growth. And you think you're seeing the remnants of it inside.
uh, um, yeah, I think Kami is going to uh smile a little bit and say, well, I guess one more question. Can Kami like sort of get a sense of how long ago this plant growth spell was cast?
With a 22 nature check, I think you can. It looks like this was probably less than a week, but more than 5 days, if you had to guess. It's been a
Okay.
little bit of time.
Um, yeah, I think Kami will say, someone here was very, very talented. Um, and will sort of like stand up and sort of walk to Zosha and say, well, walk to like everybody gathered here, like once they're done with their investigations, and sort of say that we need more information about who attacked this place. Maybe we will glean more about our enemies. Yeah. At least that's what I think. Anyone have another idea?
I agree. I don't really know what that guy or anybody expects us to do next, and I don't feel great just sitting around. Hey, is it dark? Is it
Yes.
dark time?
It, it is dark time, otherwise known as evening or night, yes.
Yep, the word left my brain.
I got you, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, with that, Zosha will add, the scary people are way more active at nighttime, so we should really be prepared like right now, I think. And we shouldn't have left them outside alone, maybe. And Zosha's gonna start like walking back.
I believe that Neville will know more of these attacks. And you are right. Let us go. We'll follow.
Like walking, well, the fuck is going on? We need to leave. All right. That just leaves. Also, just so, Lynn, I did not skip over your religion check. Unfortunately, there was nothing that you could glean with the 9 that your team hadn't already learned. So just so you know, I did not ignore your roll.
No
was there anything else that anyone wanted to do in here? Just making sure before you guys leave. All right. So we'll head back out to the graveyard where Plek is busy digging graves with him. As you're going, you can give me a perception check, as this is sort of a passive thing.
Who, me?
Who?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plek.
Everyone
I know, I'm so sorry.
panicked. Everyone panicked.
Nobody give me. No, it's okay. You're good. You're good. Come on, Dennis, you got this. All right, carry on. Yeah, you are.
I'm
you
lost
are,
in the
you are,
sauce. It's okay.
Exactly. You're very, very distracted.
It's okay, everybody. Simon rolled a 15. We're fine. Like,
Correct.
Simon.
Exactly.
Simon's.
Yeah,
That
like
tongue
on
vision
that
coming in
note-
handy.
That tongue vision. On that note, walking back, can I do it like just a quick check around as I'm walking back out of fear?
Yeah. If you think you're doing a quick check, then perception. If you are I'm looking out, then you can give me an investigation. It's
Okay,
up to what you think
investigation
you're-
then. She'll
Okay.
move a little bit slower for the
Right.
sake of really getting some intel, hopefully.
Some fucking
Natural 20.
Oh my god, 27 investigation.
Nice.
Girl, let me tell you all the secrets. Okay,
I
so-
just get handed the DM's notes.
Yeah, exactly. Here's all the information you get. All right. So as you guys are walking out, Zosha kind of falls behind a little bit, just sort of getting all the details she can possibly soak in from this environment. And it seems to make sense. She found a lot of information in that temple just from taking a moment to really soak in everything. And she intends to do it out here as well. And at first you're just noticing, much like the inside of the temple, a lot of recent work has been done out here. It seems like all the graves were kind of built on a timeline that makes sense to when the side of that temple probably collapsed and when that plant growth was spawned. It looks like the last probably 2 or 3 days have been dedicated to taking care of the inside of the temple and the outside as well. You can't see any tracks sort of leading into the temple, which surprises you, as there did seem to be combat or some kind of fighting inside. But it makes you think that maybe it happened off of the trails, that instead something happened maybe on the backside, or maybe they snuck their way in somehow. But the fight was had, but it wasn't in this graveyard or even on the trails that lead into it. And you're looking over the graves as well. Each of them have their names that have been recently chiseled in, for the most part. And as you're falling behind the group a little bit, there is one grave in particular that kind of makes you stop in your place as the rest of your team kind of continues walking. And as you're staring at the name that also seems new and sort of carved into this by hand, you read the name Neville on one of these graves.
Who's closest to me? Who is it? Actually, based on everything about Lanitana, literally everything, Zosha would kind of scurry up next to Lanitana. Hey, I saw something concerning.
Oh, what is it?
There is one. Well,
Are you is Zosha speaking kind of hushed?
Yes.
Oh, then it's Lantana will open up the telepathic.
Okay,
two-way
great.
thing,
Yep. That'll be much better because no one else will hear. So now she sounds her normal panicked level of voice. By the way, no longer whispering. So you know how all of these graves are really fresh, and spooky and everything, and we're trying to figure out what happened, and there seems to be a lot of death. Anyway, one of the graves that's really new that has the name etched into it, it reads Neville. You know, like the guy hanging out with Fleck right now.
Really?
Yeah, and Zosha will like kind of point in the general direction, and think about it really, really clearly in case Lani Tana can see her thoughts. She has no clue. She's just like, I'm gonna imagine it really hard. It looks exactly like this. It's just right over there. That is suspicious.
Yes, you have good reason for concern, but can range from repentance to outright deception. So we should, if he does not belong here, then he shouldn't be here, and we need answers for that.
Yep, that's what I thought. I'm gonna go talk to Plek, and Zosha's gonna like.
Imagine you say it just as abruptly as that too. I'm gonna go talk to Blake. As you kind of break off and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like Kami is just like walking, hand on Simon's head, like leisurely stroll, and then just I'm gonna go talk to Fleck and running like bolting past. Like,
oh. As like the closer you're getting, the more you're starting to see that Neville had stopped digging and seemed to have been looking in your direction. But as you come closer, you see him kind of bowing his head a little bit and taking a step back. But he lets you head towards Plek, who's about 5-10 feet away from him at the moment. But he looks a little on guard a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he resumes his digging a little slowly.
Oh, if Zosha's going toward Plek, Lighthouse is going to make a just walk straight to Neville.
Straight at him. Okay, good.
Straight at him, yeah.
Yeah, Zosha will try and like be like, Plek, come here. Can we go off to just like a little bit?
Oh, I almost hit you. I'm sorry. What? Do you want in on this?
Just can you? Just a few steps this way really quick. I gotta tell you something. Or like, can we talk in our brains? I don't know. Lani Tana can.
As soon as you say that, you hear, hey, what's up? What's going on? You seem kind of worried.
One of the fresh graves that has a name engraved into it recently says Neville.
Says that.
That's his name. Zosha does point because she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Understood. If you don't mind backing up, I'm just gonna jump out of here. Everyone's okay? I assume we're okay. No,
we're okay. We're just suspicious, and she'll like move away from where.
Okay. In the meantime, I was doing some research on jump. I can do a vertical jump of 3 plus my strength modifier. Oh, so I can do an 8-foot like jump with a little bit of running speed. So he's just gonna clear out of it and land like ah.
I love that you took your time to be like, let me find out how high I can jump real quick.
So yeah, he just kind of hulks out of there like mini Hulk, and then it's just kind of like he's not gonna immediately like go for his weapon and shield because it'll take time to get the armor on. So he's already done that, but he's just kind of trying to angle himself. So if he needs to, he can bolt for it or burn his bonus action and use his nimble quickness or whatever to pick them up. But just trying to get a clean bead on it and then read what the team's doing. And thanks in your head, Zosha, you get thank you. I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Nope, all good. I'm just trying to keep on top of stuff because it's stressful.
I'd give you a hug if I wasn't sweaty and covered in dirt.
That's okay. I don't like hugs from most people anyway. Only Kami.
Noted.
I feel like Kami's gonna like see Zosha bolt ahead, see Fleck like Hulk leap out of a grave, and, like angle towards weapons, and she's just gonna like turn back to Bonnie Tana and just be like, "Do you know what's happening?" Like give a look that's like
The graves. And they'll point to the direction that Zoisha thought. One of the graves says Neville. And I'm going to get some answers. Hopefully it's nothing we have to worry about. Hopefully it's a quirk of whatever burial things they have. But I'll ask. And they'll just turn and like just walk toward Neville.
Yeah, who at this point seems very, very hesitant, but stops his digging as soon as Lanitana kind of closes the distance, and sort of sticks the shovel in the dirt beside him, but kind of turns a little bit, almost like he's either ready to run or defend himself, or it's a little hard to read at the moment, but he just stands and looks over Lanitana. Yeah.
The temple is beautiful. And I'm glad that most of it managed to survive the attack. How many people perished here?
Roll a persuasion check.
Eight.
Oh.
Okay. Wait, can I bounce into the conversation and be like, it's truly devastating what happened, and it would be really great to know what happened and to how many people.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. You can roll another persuasion, Lynn, or Kristen, you can roll one.
If you have a better modifier than +0,
okay,
yep, you go ahead.
It's slim pickings right now. Okay, there you go. That's a difference of 10. But your initial sort of attempt to get answers, and my cat's coming. Hold on, pardon me. Hello. It's a good time. He's being quiet, which is weird. But your initial attempt to get his attention didn't quite work. But with Zosha coming in and mentioning, it would be great to know who was here, you see his face kind of soften a little bit, his expression. To be honest, everyone. There wasn't a lot here. We weren't a lot here. 24, maybe? But
we are unsure about the traditions you have as far as burial, mourning. Our friends are... It's been a long, tough road that we have traveled since we've gotten here, and tensions tend to be a little high with unknowns, and we would just like to know, to use your staff to point at the group. Why does that have your name on it?
Because it's not my name.
Go on.
Like he's gonna mage hand the spear to his hand.
Because you put it down? Like, I'm just gonna take this
well,
again.
it's like away from him. Put like a shield, like you piled it all up. Like,
yep.
Not expecting to have to fight, but yeah. Sorry.
No. He was a mentor of mine. And he fell as well. And to be honest, I fell as well. But I came back, and I look like this. So, I assume this has something to do with penance, maybe? It wasn't my choice.
Do you know who brought you back?
You see him kind of like look over his shoulder at one of the crystals. Pretty sure, yeah.
What are we up against?
Insight check. Sorry, that was my brain was very
Shout!
delayed.
No, I love it. What are you looking for in him? I guess.
Is he telling the truth? Was that person really his mentor? Like, does he belong here? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I? Oh,
Can you jump in?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I will help. I'll give.
I'm so sorry, Anita. By the way, I apologize.
Yes, we will be right back to you. I promise. Lonnie Tana, were you gonna do something as well, or Lynn?
I'm trying to figure out a way that I could help, but I'm not trying to think of anything.
I mean, you could do your own insight as well if you're looking for something different in, because she's just looking for the truth.
Yeah.
If there's anything else you wanted to glean,
Yeah. I
you
think
could roll your own.
yeah. All right.
Just making sure I didn't want to walk
No.
over it. But as you're staring, Zosha, especially you being the most kind of suspicious of this situation, you were the first to find the grave. You're the first to kind of like piece these story bits together and what has happened here. But he looks like a very pained individual. Like he's trying to find purpose, and maybe that's in burying these or making these graves, in making sure those people are laid to rest, and in cleaning up what's left of the temple. And maybe those are welcome distractions. Because it seems like he's lost a lot here. He doesn't seem to be lying to you. He's struggling emotionally, but from what you can read, the emotions are true.
Man's going through a lot right now.
Yes. And Lynn, what were you attempting to catch from him?
Just if there's anything, something similar. Yeah, if there's anything that like he's giving off that this is, if he has been brought back or anything like that.
Okay. I almost want you to give me more of a religion check.
Okay, religion. All right.
Yeah, just because of the nature of what you're checking.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say nature, or not nature, excuse me. Religion or medicine is what I'm. Words.
All right. Medicine. All right. Cool. Yeah. That's 16.
Okay. Great. There are parts of his armor that maybe aren't fitting perfectly. Mm-hmm. And maybe something to do with his physical form. Maybe there's something there that's not quite matching up. Maybe an illusion. You're mm-hmm. not entirely sure. But yeah, the what he's wearing doesn't seem to match the physical form that's actually there. It's a little bit bigger than it probably should be. Mm-hmm. And from that, I'm gonna hop back to Anita if you had anything you wanted to say at the moment, because they were picking these moments out at the time.
Yeah. Kami is just asking what exactly attacked the temple. What exactly is the group up against? Like, seems like it didn't seem like Kausvena could cast growth when we fought her. And wants to know exactly like what forces they got, what we have to expect.
What attacked the temple was many. It was hard to make out everything, but something large attacked mostly the outside. We eventually, Neville was able to deduce that it was Kausvena. She's the one who collapsed that side. But other followers of Malar breached the temple and managed to get every single one of us. Some of them are capable of more than just savage melee prowess, it seems. But from what I've noticed, any magic they use is to keep you still, so they can finish you off up close.
But Kami is, yeah. I think Kami is going to ask if he has any valuables, or if they have any valuables, like anything that would help, like, fight off, like, the threat that is posed. Like any magic items, any like protections that the temple had that proved to work a little bit.
Items that I could even offer are mostly these graves. I am uncomfortable with the idea of taking that, but I might have a trinket or two that would be of some use. It is not tide-turning, but might be of some help.
I'm gonna ask an uncomfortable question. Neville, not Neville.
My name is Jata.
Got it. Right. Is there any chance that, like, you're doing all of this and you feel guilty because you did something bad during the battle? Like, I'm just trying to check out all the avenues here. So I'm still not sure we can trust you.
Something bad during the battle?
I don't know, did you, like, help kill your pals or something? Did you turn against them? I don't know.
No, I did not. I attacked my pals. These were fellow worshippers, and this was the only good thing in my life.
Okay, I think I believe you.
I think in your head, so it's here. Do you mind if we talk to him privately for a moment?
Go ahead.
And I think
right after that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick, like a moment after you hear in your head. So are we fighting, or because he's like out of earshot, so he's like, what's going on? But anyway, that's it. Sorry.
Hold.
Zosha's the router. She's just like getting it out.
Disappointingly puts the spear in the ground and grabs the shovel again.
Goes back to work.
I think out loud, Lyton is going to just say to the group, we're gonna have a little talk with him. We'll be right back. And she'll gesture to him to come over here.
There's a hesitation and a pause. Like you walk your way over and you're there for probably like 10 seconds before you just and then walks after you.
Yeah, I think Kami is going to, like, when Lanitana says that, just say, careful, Jata or Neville, whoever they are a liar. And I fear they still withhold something. See if you can get that trinket for us. I think we'll need help.
Well,
Luck.
well, for his own sake, if his soul should listen. But I will. See if there's anything to do to help us. And she'll do that little head tilt and like to, yes, just come over here, and they'll just sit in front of the crystal.
He follows and kneels.
And they will open up the two-way telepathic thing this time.
Mm-hmm.
We do not, as much concern as it has caused, we do not hold it necessarily against you to withhold, but what is it that is bothering you to not bring this up in front of us in the first place?
As I mentioned, and you're a little surprised, not surprised, but his voice comes through without the grit and gravel that you usually hear when physically. As I mentioned, this wasn't exactly my choice. Everything went black, and then I woke up and I looked like this.
We noticed that the armor was not sized to you. You took up what you could?
No, it is mine.
Is there anything other than what happened that bothers you?
Well, watching fellow worshippers all be murdered in front of you is certainly leaving a stain on the mind. But I understand your hesitation to trust me. And I wish I had more answers for you. I can give you all the information that I have found here.
That's not why I brought you. We brought you here. Your eyes? It's the guilt, isn't it? More than the falling. Isn't it?
Roll persuasion check.
Getting the finger wag from Anita.
Also, as a reminder, Nutters, we have about 20 minutes left and you still have inspiration, so don't
Yep.
24.
Oh, God! Never mind!
Hell yeah.
I don't need it. I don't, you know.
Whiplash from that incredible roll, man. Let's go. Staring into this man's soul, basically. Looking into those eyes as deeply, as intensely as you can. And having this sort of very intimate, personal conversation that nobody can hear. And you're hearing his natural voice. He lets more of his natural self show. And after a considerable pause that Lanitana is patient enough to wait out, you hear him respond. Neville heard that there might have been an attack on the temple ahead of time. He had plans to have everyone escape. But Yoriana is a fighter. And I believed we could defend it. And her. He knew, with less followers, is a weaker deity. We needed to survive, to keep her strong. But I thought we could win. And he trusted me. And we did not win. And everybody is gone. And Yoriana is weakened. But I am still here. And I think it is her will that I am here. And had you clearer eyes, it might have been More notice. As he's saying that, he takes a step towards the crystal beside you. And as he normally puts his hand against it, this time instead he kind of pushes so that pretty much his whole body is pressed up against the crystal. And in that light, you're kind of looking at the way it just sort of dances off his face, as well as his armor as it glows just a little bit. And it seems magical and ethereal and strangely comforting again. A bit of warmth coming out, even from that sort of distance that you are. But looking in the reflection of the light instead, you see a very dark-skinned man with very, very short hair and slash marks that went across his throat. And a body that looks like it had died a few days ago. It's just a little too thin for its armor now.
Mm-hmm.
But a different figure than what stands before you.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, he continues. If you had a solid connection, you probably would have seen me for what I was a little earlier.
And you would think that that would be repellent.
How would it not be?
I think Lionitana's like face just kind of softens, like concern, and they'll walk toward the crystal. And I think if in that sort of similar reflection, I think he can see that there's something like around Lionitana.
Mm-hmm.
And they will speak with like the true like two voice, like, we know what you're going through more than you think.
Then you seem to be doing a better job than I.
It's a heavy burden, knowing you failed people, or you think you did, you made mistakes. But you are here now. We can't take back what happened. We can't go back home or replace those that we've lost. We certainly did make mistakes. It has been, if you think that we are put together, it has been, for part of me, thousands and thousands of years.
You see his like hollow chest shudder in the reflection. As for just a second, he thinks about living with the very fresh guilt for thousands of years. But he remains quiet and listens.
I can't tell you that you will never fear. So you'll never not feel that. We feel that every time we go to sleep. But what I can tell you is you are here now. And no matter what mistakes that you've done, no matter what, you can still do good. You can still be a positive force for people you run across.
The problem is I think I have to. That sounds weird, but interestingly enough, I'm not from here. And like I said, I found this place, and maybe she found me. But I think I am all that keeps her fighting. As you know, the less followers, the less powerful.
Yes, we know that.
She does as well.
Okay. To be a ember for something that was bright. It's a heavy burden.
Yeah.
And it's something you do not have to do alone.
I know where Kausvena is. That was my plan. Regardless of whether you showed up or not. One last attempt. My cat's in the background. I don't even know where he is. Oh, there he is. Okay. I'm not even sure I have a great plan. But from what I've seen, I at least know her tactics. With your help, maybe we can get rid of her. I don't know if I'll ever. He kind of like looks down at his reflection of the arm, where there's a gap between where the bracer would be and where the sleeve would connect. And in the reflection of the crystal, you can see some bone that's exposed from some of the wounds he took around that particular joint. I'm not sure if I will ever find rest, or if I really deserve it. But the least I can do is avenge the fallen and fix this place.
Then you'll have our help. And once that is done, once we rid this place of this evil, then we will do what we can to find solace for you.
I'm not sure I'm deserving, but
You
I
were
appreciate
chosen
it.
for a reason. Doubt is normal. But you're here. And we will restore this. And Lightown will reach out their hand.
And before he reaches out, you see him kind of dig into what very few pockets he seems to have. And as you reach for his hand, he kind of clasps both of his hands around yours, and you can feel something in his palm.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably make better use of this than I will then. I'll be alongside of you the whole time. But I would prefer that you keep this. And as he pulls away, you see a ring glowing in the center of your palm.
What is this?
A little bit of protection.
And that is your will to have us safeguard it for the time being.
It is my will that someone better than me can use it to make things better. I don't see your journey ending here. So, maybe this will help you help others a little better.
They will clasp it in their hand, reach for theirs, put it back. Your work's not done here either. Side by side.
Side by side then.
We will not allow you to fall into despair. We will solve this. We will beat them back. And then we can rebuild here. Better, stronger.
I certainly hope so. Thank you.
That's all I
He
could do.
slowly takes the ring back, but doesn't seem to wear it, but like clutches it as tight as he can in his palm.
Mhm.
So, I guess time to explain. But let me tell everyone, I guess. a little more about what I've seen, and perhaps what we can use in
It's
our
all-
upcoming fight.
It's all up to you.
And from a distance, everyone else watching, the body language of this conversation has gone kind of all over the place. Initially, Jato was very guarded. The shoulders were up. He was tense. Looked sort of ready for confrontation. As the conversation progressed, a little bit of that tension started to ease, and slowly it almost turned into sort of like a slumped over, guilty teenager kind of posture. And now, towards the end of it, there's a bit more pride in his stance. There's a little bit more posture that's more confident, but still clutching the ring in one hand. And after their silent conversation seems to come to a close, he nods towards Lanitana and then kind of nudges his head in the direction of the group as he walks back. So, I told her, them, excuse me, I know where she is. Kausvena, at least. Yoriana has showed us where. And I suspect we won't get there without trouble. But for now, let me tell you how we can make the best of this. And how hopefully we can be strong enough for this.
I think that Kausvena, I think that
Oh.
Ami had her shield up, was during that entire conversation was not paying attention, just practicing the moves that Fleck had taught her with the shield.
Yeah.
And wasn't even paying that much attention when Jata came over, but as soon as the name Kausvena came up, snapped to attention. And sort of straightened up as well, and stows away the shield and will sort of look around and say, mushrooms have ears. Is there anywhere private that we can have this discussion?
With Yoriana's light, we are warded from such things. It is exactly why I'm having this conversation with you. And he kind of takes a moment to look around, and you're actually realizing that the closer you guys got to the temple, the mushrooms and fungus stopped growing altogether. There's an abundance of plant life in the temple, but there are no suspicious mushrooms or anything anywhere near you guys.
I think that Tommy would ask Chrysanthemum to take the one mushroom that we have with the jar and take it probably to the temple limits, then come back. So we talk. Then, yeah, definitely.
Yes. Sounds good. I think actually we're about a few minutes away from our usual ending time. So with that in mind and with the conversation, a battle plan kind of being drawn, we can probably end our night here. So with the incredible performances from all my players, thank you guys so much. We're just going to run through a few more things real quick, just as a reminder. Again, tomorrow is Kids with Harsh Realms tomorrow, so make sure you come back and check that out. I'm going to run through everybody real quick so they can let you know where to find them and their names and how awesome they are. And I'm going to start us off with Anita.
Hey, girl, Anita. At Anita the Lesbian on Twitter and TikTok. I'll be saying stuff on the internet. Check me out if you. I'm gonna pass it to Kristen. Go for it, Kristen.
Hi, hey there, Kristen _house on Twitter, and just Kristen House on Twitch. But Twitter is where I talk about everything I'm up to. That's all. Time for Lynn.
Hey, I'm Lynn. Gremlin art pretty much everywhere. You can find my art and what I'm playing. And for this week, you'll see me playing characters that are way different. A glamour bard and a scary vampire blade in the dark. So yeah, check my Twitter for all that stuff. And there's everyone.
I'm Nenners, delightful
Still
player
with goblin
of
voice.
Yep. Sorry, hold on.
No, don't.
I don't actually sound like that, sadly. Anyway,
It's always so
Nenners.
jarring going
I play-
from the goblin to you. It's like, oh.
I play Plek. I do a lot of D&D stuff on the weekends at Fusca's channel, all kinds of fun stuff. We just did our Interest of Cheese. I thought that was kind of fun. But yeah, it's pretty much all I do is hang out and play games on the weekends. So
Yeah, and actually, speaking of, our schedule has been very chaotic, but we should be back this Friday and Saturday with our regular campaigns. But I am Fuz, or Fuzka, the DM here. Much like Bender said, you can find us at my Twitch channel here, Fuzka, or on Twitter, Fuzka _D&D. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be back next week. It is on schedule, our last episode, but we will be continuing after that a little bit. We'll figure out the logistics and explain everything later. But thank you again so much for being here. We will definitely see you all next week. Goodbye and good night.